Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator, and this is my first video of 2020. New decade, new beginnings, saying goodbye to 2019. Anyway, I thought I'd try out this mic. I'm getting actually a different one shortly, but I realize my voice is really loud with this mic because it's, attached right up underneath me, and it's more sensitive than the mic in my phone. If I start, what I usually do is start messing around with things on my desk. So I'll try not to do that so that you don't hear every single little thing that I'm doing back here while I'm making this video. Listen, this video is freeform tonight. Don't know what it's going to be called. I'm moving things around. Listen, I have said probably in the last 3 or 4 videos, maybe the last 3, that there's a lot going on. And I don't just mean in my personal life, but I mean in the world in general. I mean, I do a lot of research. I watch a lot of people, and there's just a lot of crap going on around the country of the United States that is not creating unity. I think it's creating popularity. I think it's creating celebrities out of certain people. Certain people were celebrities before they started making videos, but I primarily watch black media because mainstream media does not tell the truth about anything. Or they'll tell a little bit of version of the truth, and then they'll tell a bunch of lies, and they'll omit a lot of things, and they'll cut and dice what they're putting on the air so that you really don't hear what somebody is really saying. In fact, they do that to get people fired up about the wrong shit. For real. They will put something out there half-assed and have everybody running every which way, and then you do a little research and find out that is not what that person said, or they're missing the context of what they said. So, what I notice about this social media environment, this digital streaming out of control environment, is that a lot of black groups and organizations and businesses are going after each other like stink on shit. And what's weird about that is that, haven't they read the Willie Lynch letter where he talked about, this is back in the 1800s, how he would get black people to remain slaves, how he would keep them in line, how he would instill a level of distrust amongst them, how they would set up levels of competition amongst us, how they would just keep us divided and keep us so distracted that we would not flee. Now, that's another thing, is our history, our narratives aren't being told to the fullest, and they certainly aren't being taught in schools. What do we learn in school? European everything, right? If they do say something about us, they'll pick out somebody that isn't the ultimate threat to their way of thinking, their way of living. And when I say they, yes, I primarily mean white people and people who think they're white, who aren't, which can cover a lot of people in this country, a lot of, quote, minorities, who would rather consider themselves that than to embrace the heritage that they are, because it keeps us competing with each other for a lot of things in this country. Resources, money, grants, you name it. We're competing with all of the other POCs in the United States, and we end up at the bottom of the barrel. We don't end up with anything close to repairing what white America has done in our history to us as a people, and the effects of slavery are still going on today. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how people keep trying to kick that shit in the background. They try to kick it in the past. It was the past. Let the past go. Blah 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 blah. Exactly how are we going to do that when we are still suffering the effects of that on a daily basis? Somewhere in America, a black person is being abused, oppressed, jailed, murdered. We're not even safe in our own homes. 45, negative 45, the orange orangutan, Agent Orange, the guy who does not deserve the title of the President of the United States, has opened the door to the real loudmouth racists in this country, to the point where we are, if you're paying attention, if you're paying attention, we have been thrown back into Jim Crow. And then on top of that, this clown in the White House, in the president's manner, is undoing civil rights laws and allowing other businesses to undo civil rights laws. Comcast is one of them, who is in a fight with, what's his name, Byron Allen, about trying to change an 1800 civil rights law that would allow them to discriminate in media. Then, just the other day, the idiot signed a bill that would undo civil rights in housing. Because we've got this idiot. Is it Ben Carson? I don't know. But I saw that dude one time on TV, and he seemed like he was on drugs. I mean, he was completely out of it. He was slurring his words, and it was like, how in the hell did they promote that guy to his level of incompetency? And look, the entire administration is full of them. A bunch of incompetence from the president on down. Either they're thugs, or they're incompetent, or they're both. And then they got nerve to be, the Republicans are pointing fingers at the Democrats. The Democrats are pointing fingers at the Republicans. I don't know where the independents lie in all of that. You know, they're the swing voters in this country. But everybody's pointing fingers at everybody. While, guess what is nonpartisan? Racism. All of them, both sides of the fence, are benefiting from racism, and they're not talking about the effects of it. They're not talking about the school to prison pipeline. They're not talking about the conditions of prisons. They're not talking about how many of us are in prison as opposed to the population that we are in the United States, which I think is around 41 million, something like that. I could be completely off. Listen, I wrote an article on Medium. I'm going to put it in a link in the description of this video, but I wrote an article that was tearing white people a new asshole. Because listen, even if, and they love to do this on The Root. I'm an avid reader of that. No, I'm not avid, but from time to time I get in there and start reading articles and making comments. But from time, and it never fails that some white guy or white woman comes in there and says, I'm not like that. You know what that means to us? Nothing. You know why it means nothing? Because they're doing nothing about the institution of systemic racism in this country. They're all being silent while the loudmouths are out there doing destruction all over the place. The police are out of control. We need to... You know where the police came from? Do you know what existed before police? Before that word even existed, they were like security guards of property. We used to be property, and the police came out of the bounty hunters and the people that used to chase us down when we tried to escape from slavery. Tell me that doesn't exist today. Tell me they're not hunting us down in the street out there still. Except now they've got a license to do it. Now they've got, then they're not even licensed. You know, police officers are not licensed. They're elected by somebody in government. I'm sorry, I don't know my politics, real clearly, but they are not. They're civil servants. They're supposed to serve us. They're supposed to protect us. You know who they're protecting? Their own. And then they've got a bunch of black people that jump on the police force, think that they can go in there and make a difference for the community, and they end up becoming part of the problem too, because they can't. Any of them that have ever tried, and you can go out there and look at this yourself. You can go out there and look up a link yourself, do a Google, and look for how many black police officers got up and tried to stand up for what is going on to us in the streets and ended up losing their job. There's been a few in the past few years. They either lose their job or they get threatened not to be supported in sticky situations that the police get in. I call them the police, the popo. I do not like them. I don't trust them, and I don't like them. And why? Because they are the biggest murderers of us and abusers of us than any other institution in this country. They kill more of us, just outright for no reason than any other race of people in this country. And then yesterday I was reading a couple of posts that were put out for, there's this return to Ghana thing going on. Something about Ghana making a 10-year plan to call American blacks to Ghana, back to their roots, back to help them with their economy, to invest with their economy. And listen, I am a Roland Martin supporter. And I also support a lot of other people that I'm not even going to mention their names because they're all in competition with each other. But here's what I don't agree about with Roland Martin. He literally tried to tear an asshole through people because they were saying that the return to Ghana is a scam. But then he went on to start describing what could be done about returning to Ghana and stuff. And everything he said only applies to middle, upper middle, and upper class black people. That kind of burnt my bacon right there, because the average black person doesn't have $10,000 sitting around in a bank account, let alone $100,000. And he threw out those two numbers. That $10,000 in Ghana could be $50,000. $100,000 in Ghana, you end up being a millionaire in Ghana. So, but the average American, the average black American, the average black America does not have that kind of money laying around that they can jump up and move to Ghana or visit Ghana. It takes a lot of money. Those airline tickets are cheap. And then you got to pay for the hotels, and then you got to pay for your food, you got to pay for your visas, you got to pay for your passports. There's all sorts of expenses, right? So the average black American is never going to be able to get up and go there. Although, I would love to visit. And then there's also a possibility of getting dual citizenship. in any of the countries in Africa. Africa is not a country, folks. It is a continent with 55 countries in it. So don't get that twisted. Don't get that confused. I mean, there's a lot of countries to steer clear of in Africa, and there's a lot of countries that are more inviting to tourists. We would be considered tourists there. So there's a lot of celebrities going over there checking it out. Celebrities. I think sometimes they forget that's what they are, out there talking about, you know, how easy it is to go and invest in that country, or invest anywhere on that continent. It takes money to invest, a lot of it. So in that respect, in one respect, it would be great to go back to our roots. In another respect, as a transgender man, no, it won't. We lose access. They don't have access to HRT. They don't have access to surgeries. And it's still quite illegal to be LGBT in those countries, most of that continent. And, you know, even, you know, one of my children, or some guy that I mentor, lives in Kenya. And, you know, he talks about Kenya. And no sooner than he started beefing up Kenya to me, some other woman from Kenya started telling me all these stories about how it's still very, very taboo, and a really, really awful situation that she found herself in there, and was just begging for help. So I don't quite know who to believe when they talk about the conditions in the countries of Africa. I just know intrinsically from everything that I read and everything that I hear that they hate our guts even more than idiots in this country do. And that's saying a lot, because black people are more vicious and hateful towards us than other kinds of people are here. I mean, pure hatred would kill us on the spot if they found out who we were and we didn't tell them up front. Some shit like that. I was on blackplanet.com and I was sitting there reading this post where this guy was just livid that he was talking to a transgender woman. And it took a few conversations before she disclosed that that's what she was. And he was fiery mad. And him and a whole bunch of other people were saying, they should put it in their profile that they're trans. Really? You know, I made a couple of comments in there about how dangerous that would be to put that in your fucking profile, public profile. One way to get killed and have people looking for you. So they were talking out their head, and he was just mad. He was just, his ego was bruised. That's it. We have no interest in people who don't have interest in us. I mean, isn't that what dating and love and relationships and stuff like that is about? If you're attracted to somebody, you're attracted to them. It doesn't matter what they are. Only if you ain't got some fucked up thinking in your head that usually comes from religion. I wish all of these things that I'm saying go back to one thing: the divisiveness of black people in America, the inability to unite, the total lack of knowing anything about what that word means, because they won't put down all their judgments to come out and fight what we need to fight to win in this country, to win our freedom, to win our equality, to get these people to leave us the fuck alone. You know, if we even got 40 acres and a mule, every single one of us, you know what we could do? We can create our own state and gerrymander white folks out of it. See? so that we don't have to deal with racism. That is a bonus of moving back to Africa, is not having to deal with the color of your skin, not having to deal with racism at all. They don't have that extra stress out there. They've got different kind of stressors, but they don't have that stressor, which is the biggest, the most vicious, the most abusive kind of existence in the world. The oppression, the systemic oppression of black people in the United States, whether people want to acknowledge that or not, whether they want to talk about it openly and honestly or not, whether they have the ability to talk about it. We have been dealing with this for over 450 years. And if we weren't so strong, we would have perished long ago. But the thing is, we are a resilient people for putting up with y'all that hate us, that don't really want to see equality, because if you did, you'd do something about it. White people would do something about it. But see, I'm done asking for people's crumbs and asking them to do this and asking them to do that, because that is not the direct approach with these people. Is never results in anything. They want us to tiptoe and, you know, play their game, talk their language, talk the way that they talk. Of course, they're relaxed and they don't curse people out and they don't do this and do that. They don't have the stressors that we have in this country. They wonder why why we come off angry, and they make that out to be something bad. Is because they don't have any of those kind of stressors going on. If they did, they would be just as angry as us. Culturally, yeah, we are. You know, we're quick-tempered. We're quick to, you know, speak our mind, or we're shut down and don't, and just go with the flow, and keep the status quo going. You know, they call them bootlickers. They call them coons. They call them all sorts of things that just go along with the way this country thinks we should be, instead of accepting us culturally as we are. Wow. Did I just say that? Wouldn't that be amazing if that could happen? If that was a possibility of people stop saying, because you're this and because you're that and because you're this, it's unacceptable. You know, being angry doesn't mean you're violent. Being angry doesn't mean you're prone to doing something to somebody. And I'm going to give you an example of this before I get off tonight. Can't see how long I've been talking. I went to an ordeal the other day, and I was talking about this to a white lady who quickly thought, oh, I told her I was pro-black. And she said, say a little bit more about that. I said, I believe black first. She said, oh, wait a minute, but doesn't that mean you want to take our place with anger? I said, no, didn't mean that at all. It just means, you know, we're going to stop placating to y'all's feelings and start paying attention to our own, and start paying attention to the fact that we're traumatized people 24 hours a day, whether we know it or not. We're traumatized by this system. Dr. Joyce DeGree has a lot of videos talking about slave mentality disorder, and that we live with it every day, all day, whether we acknowledge it and embrace it or not. So we just want to be left alone. Want to live our lives the way you guys get to live it, without the stressors that we have. We just want to be able to heal, and we can't do that around you guys, because they quickly want to dispel the notion that racism is as big as it is and as bad as it is. Yeah, they want to just pretend that it's not there. And myself and another black man that was in the audience, he said something. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he had my back. He backed me up. And she was like, oh my God, really? And da-da-da-da-da. I said, no. I said, I'm very well aware. We are very well aware of the fear that white people have, that if they gave us what we wanted, the place that we want to be in society, that we would do to them what they have done to us. And that can't be further from the fucking truth. That is not what we want. We don't want to become them. I am quite proud to be black. I don't want to be white. So I don't try to trade places with them. But do I want the same protections as they get? You bet. Do I want the same opportunities they get? You bet. Do I want the same economic opportunities that they get? You bet. Do we want what any other human being would want. But that's not how they see it when you start talking about racism. And I wasn't even talking about racism. I was talking about being pro-black. And she's the one that saw all that. See? I didn't even mention racism. And the first thing she thought was, oh my God, you want to do the reverse race thing. For calling out racism, people call us racists. They better look up that fucking word in their dictionary. You have to have the power to control large numbers of people with that word racism. We control nothing. We have bits and pieces of celebrities out there that control things, but as in general, as a people, we're just consumers. And that's what they use us for in this country, is to make money. That is what they use us for, to make money and to do jobs that they wouldn't want to do. But we're not in the executive boardrooms. We're not up there where they are in terms of running this country, running this economy, running this capitalism. So we have to do for ourselves. We have to put black first. Black-owned businesses first. Now, there's some issues with dealing with black businesses, but you know, that can be ironed out. But we need to start supporting ourselves because they're not going to. So we need to do it. That's what I mean by pro-black. Black first. I'm putting our interests, my interests, our interests above theirs. Did not Gandhi do that for India? But let some black person be talking about that and they have a hissy fit. I want you to ask yourself why. Why? Why will they put that guy on a pedestal? But if anybody in this country starts talking about black first and black having our own circles without them involved, they have a hissy fit. I don't get it, folks. I don't get that. You're putting on high people that are putting certain people as a priority in their life. But if we put ourselves as a priority in this country, white people have a problem. With that, I'm going to bid you adieu. I've talked about too many different things in this video, as usual, when I don't have a particular topic. But I hope you have a blessed rest of your week. And I'm going to pretend to hit myself because I don't want to hit this mic. The pollinator is out.